What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Aftersound here, bringing you Splinterlands content daily. We also stream over on Twitch at This Is Aftersound, so come by and say hello. Okay, so I wanted to take a look at what the impact of land will have on cards and essentially scooping up cards off the market and creating a potential supply shock. Now, the thing is, we don't know how many monsters are going to be involved with lands. I've heard it could be 5 plus, I think, or anywhere from like 4 to 6 or something like that. There's nothing confirmed. But from the summoner standpoint, the last that we heard, and again, this is all speculation, so just want to throw that out there on the front end, is that in order to work the land, you'll need a summoner plus, a random assortment of monsters, similar to how gameplay is right now. So if we take the assumption that every land plot will require a summoner on it, then we can therefore deduce that 150,000 plots will equal 150,000 summoners. Now that's going to be in cards, not BCX, right? Because BCX can be combined into a single card. So I'm on here on Splinter Talks. I'm not Splinter Talks, on Splinter Cards, I should say. Big shout out to them. And just taking a look here at all of the summoners currently in play, and we have, from a card standpoint, 594,000 regular foil, and it looks like 43,000 gold foil. So this is the individual cards, not the BCX. You can see here the BCX is much, much higher than that. And a lot of this is just due to the fact that people are printing cards at, I'm sorry, not combining cards, not printing cards, combining cards at whatever the rate is. So it's too hard to extrapolate, exactly where we'll be, especially towards the end of Chaos Legion. But I would say, if we look at this right now, and we can just round, roughly to between like 600 to 650 because 650,000, because that's where we currently stand. Then from that standpoint, it sounds like there's going to be a huge supply shock incoming for summoners. Now, that's almost 25%, maybe 20% once you consider the fact that you consider the fact that we have both of these being calculated in, both regular and gold foil. But here's the thing that we also need to consider. The Chaos Legion is not fully released yet. We are not even 1/3 in. We're maybe about like 30% of the way in terms of how many more cards will be printed once those packs are opened. Also of which we're not even calculating into the mix the amount of legendary summoners that will be coming in. So I don't think that they're going to be at the same circulation rate as the rare summoners, but that will be another amount or added amount put on top of this. So, with where we're at right now, it's like 30%, maybe, right? I'm sorry, 20 to 25%. But land, as we know, is not going to be functional for at least 12, maybe 18 months. So what else is happening in that time? Well, according to the roadmap, we're also going to have DICE, which, not DICE, but we're going to have Rift Watchers, which, if you think about what DICE had, a summoner for each of the splinters, then we could be getting an influx of supply at that point in time as well. And then Rebellion, which I would argue is going to be as big as, if not bigger than Chaos Legion, is going to dump quite a few more summoners onto the mix as well. So factoring that in, and let's say we're a third of the way through here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's, I guess this is 200,000 right here. We can add another 400,000 just from the rare summoners that'll be opened up in packs. So that puts us over 1 million at that point in time. So as you can see, what I'm trying to say is, by the time a functional land comes out, there's going to be a ton of summoners. So right now, yes, 20 to 25% is definitely significant, but this number becomes smaller and smaller over time. So what's the number we would need to hit to maybe say, 10%? Because I think that 10%, while significant, is only significant if the player base is growing, right? So over the next year, is it possible for us to see 1.5 million summoner cards put into circulation? And I think, as I just said, with the rest of Chaos Legion comes out, we're already going to be over 1 million cards. And it's actually going to be a lot more than that. I'm assuming that the other cards that are coming out are going to be combined at the levels that they are combined right now. Just kind of, again, lazily or estimating this, lazily extrapolating this forward, because it's too hard to say what it will look like. Obviously, as more players come in and more players try to reach higher levels, the amount of cards will go down as the BCX continues to go up, right? Because people will be leveling these cards up. But I think that if this ends up being less than 10% by the time that the rest of Chaos Legion is out, the rest Rift Watchers is out, and then we even get Rebellion start to be released, I think we'll actually be in a good spot where what I'm trying to say is that I don't think there's going to be some major supply crunch. Yes, in certain aspects there will be. And if you think about the way that many of the OG players are looking at land, kind of as a way to quote unquote retire their older cards, right? The alpha and beta summoners, because it seems as though the push is going to be for modern format, right? Like there's going to be a lot more focus on modern format in the future, because that's where a lot of the newer players will come in and want to compete. And sure, you're always going to have wild format, and these cards are always going to dominate in wild format. But if you want to get the most out of your land from a collection power standpoint, many people who are landowners and who own a lot of these older alpha, beta, or promo cards will probably want to be putting them on the land to get the most out of their land, which means those cards will technically be out of circulation in terms of fighting or renting or whatever the case is. They'll be working the land in that sense. So in a way, when I look at this, I'm not... What I was trying to avoid, and to just be as straight up with you and objective as possible, is like there's a lot of calls for this to be like, oh, there's going to be some massive supply crunch of summoners and monsters when land comes out, and there will be a huge a huge impact from land, in the sense that yes, it is going to take potentially 150,000 summoner cards, as well as if we have 750,000 monster cards, if it follows kind of that same slots where we have one summoner and up to 5 monsters, or actually no, it's up to 6 monsters, so maybe 900,000 cards. But in a way, because of the new timeline that we have for land, I don't believe that we're going to feel it in the way that people are kind of hyping it up right now. So I could be wrong. And if people are going to get mad at me for saying don't don't ape into summoners right now. But at the end of the day, that was never, my goal is never to be like, guys, you should totally buy this card now or buy these cards now, because the prices are going to go up and we're going to feel this massive supply shock. We most definitely will feel a supply shock. The question is, how significant will it be, and what's the timeline for that? And as I'm looking out with the roadmap that they've given, one of the big things is that land, from a functionality standpoint, is being pushed at least, out to next year. And so if that is the case, and we do follow through with the upcoming planned releases of Rift Watchers and then even Rebellion, there's going to be a ton of summoners, right? Because Rebellion's not coming out until Chaos Legion is fully out into, and fully sold out. And sure, yeah, people might hang on to Chaos Legion packs, so we won't get them all opened up. But it's gonna be at the point where we're gonna be almost flooded with summoners. Now, to me, the more interesting and more impactful thing is, are other players coming in? Because if other players are coming in and the player base does another potential 10x in the next 12 to 18 months, that is when I see a more significant play on land happening. But up until that happens, and that to me is really the bigger push here, right? Like land coming out, if land comes out with the same amount of player base that we have right now, I don't think it's going to do as much, considering all things stay relatively the same. If we do get a massive jump in player base, that's what's going to cause the supply shock in not just summoners, but all cards and all assets, in the same way that it did back in October of last year, or we'll just say the second half of last year, following the sellout of Untamed and Dice. So when it comes to land, I'm obviously excited about it. I'm not trying to downplay land by any means here. I think it's going to be one of the most fundamental shifts for this game. But realistically and objectively looking at the timeline for when land is going to be revealed or, released from a functional standpoint, as well as looking at when, the upcoming releases with Rift Watchers and Rebellion will be. At that point in time, I feel like we're going to have quite a bit. And if the player base increases, but not like, doesn't do multiples of where it is, but is just having, we'll call it like a steady and healthy growth over the next 12 months, and doesn't do a 10x is what I'm trying to say, but maybe, a percentage gain type of thing. And we're slowly acquiring more people who are playing the game for the game itself. Then this to me is a nice, kind of long-term play on where land will be, and it'll give me people a lot of time to start leveling up and acquiring the summoners that they need to play with and level up to play at the highest levels, as well as the summoners they will need for land. So that's all I have for you guys in this video. Just something to think about. Let me know if you are hearing something else, seeing something else, or hearing other things. I know there was a really interesting interview that Aggro had done with another podcast or something that somebody had linked to, and Aggro was talking about the huge supply, shock that would be coming to cards. And while I agree with him, the timeline for land has made me less kind of urgent, and that's kind of what I'm trying to convey here with this video. So, if I'm not looking at this the right way, let me know in the comments below and we can continue the conversation there. But I think we have some time. That doesn't mean, don't that doesn't mean don't buy cars, and that doesn't mean that I can't be wrong. It's just, don't like spend your life savings on, grabbing as many summoners as you need right now, thinking that the price is going to go up in the next week or so. I don't think that's going to happen, and I think it'll be a while, and we will see the signs over time, right? Like the player base, the daily active user counts are going to go up. We will see the things like spellbook purchases start to increase over time. So that to me it'll be something where you are going to live through it, and it's not just going to happen overnight, similar to how it did maybe last year. So those are my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and we can continue the conversation there. I will catch you all in the next video, and I will see you around the game. Take care.